Day 3. Mad Monsters. Here, before the doors open, trying to catch the 11:15 panel of Lost Boy, which will have Tom Kiefer and Jason Patrick, and possibly saxophone player, which his name right now is eluding me. I had it before, don't have it now. So we'll see how that goes. Trying not to get run over by this traffic. Challenge. Alright. Going in without costume on today. Yesterday we drug 3 kids. It was a bit. We'll see. Seeing a lot of white vans. A lot of white vans out here. Remember, don't get in the car with candy. Or, the promise of concert tickets. Either one. Candy or concert tickets. They don't have them. They're just trying to get you in the van. So, join me. I'm Kenny, doing it on style today. Solo. I know Tony showed you this yesterday, but this is the limo. And I don't know if that's the line to get in or what. What's going on right there? They looped them back out. Which it might be. Might be somebody's autograph. We'll find out here in a little bit. That's your Uber's last ride right there.
You're very welcome. Hi, how are you? I am wonderful.
Well, I finally got in line. It's about 11:10. Panel starts at 11:15. We'll see if we get in. Not looking good. Well, I was out the door to get in. That was the line I was showing you earlier. Crazy. Crazy. Look at him. Moving along. See what's what. A little fast little jump. Try to get in. Looks like I've got a good shot. Alrighty. Cool deal.
So can you talk about how you first became involved with Lost Boys and what attracted you to the script and production?
The process was actually pretty straightforward and normal. I went on an audition, and I did a reading for Joel Schumacher, who was the director. He had seen me in a film that I had done called At Close Range, which almost all of my part was cut out, so I don't know how on earth he thought I would be right for this part. But he was a really encouraging director and really helpful. And so he made me feel so comfortable that I actually did a lot of the work that I really wanted to do on the film in the audition, which is not always the case. And I was just lucky enough to get hired, so it was kind of a straight up process. The one thing I do remember was that I wasn't the biggest fan of the script at the time, but it was also so early in my career that you took any job you could get. And then thankfully, it was originally written for 13-year-olds, 12 and 13-year-olds, and I was about 18 or 19. Jason was a year older than I. And he adjusted the script. As we went. And Jason had a lot to do with that as well. So it ended up working. It was certainly, I never imagined that I would be at my age now talking about this film when I was 18. But I'm thrilled that it kind of turned out the way it did.
It was the same thing. I just went on an audition, and actually, like Kiefer said, it's been said before, and I've said it in some of these panels and stuff, is that I turned the movie down many times. I said, well, why did you turn down Lost Boys? Well, it wasn't Lost Boys, you have to understand. The movie that you saw was something that we were creating every single day. No one had done those effects before. No one had tried to mix that comedy and that humor, the way that it looked. No one had that makeup before. So the couple of pieces of pages that we saw were just really bad dialogue that were not, teen vampires. And it was Joel Schumacher who convinced me to do it. And like Kiefer said, when I was 19, and he gave me a lot of leeway. This was a studio movie, and I was able to not only make up my own dialogue and work with him, but also talk about other story points. That's 37 years ago. So that's visionary of Joel. So yeah, I met him the first day. He wanted me to do it, and I said no. He worked me for a couple months.
So can you both talk about working with Joel? I know Kiefer, you also worked with him again later on for Phone Booth, but can you talk a bit about working with him as a director?
Well, I worked with him on Lost Boys, Flatliners, A Time to Kill, Phone Booth. I worked with Joel at least once a decade. We were friends. Joel was one of the first. Jason and I did a production of that championship season on Broadway for almost a year, and Joel was the first person to come see the play. So he's thinking, I'm really sorry, but I honestly don't think I'm the right actor for this. And he very calmly said, if you don't think that I wake up every morning and know that I have your future in my hands, I do. And I treat that with great respect, and I just need you to trust me. Well, Flatliners ended up being one of my favorite films, and Joel had to create a fantastical world for this story to work. And it was one of the greatest lessons I've ever had in kind of surrendering. But Joel was the first director that I kind of just let go and let him kind of do what he did. And the reason why I did it was because of the respect he showed me and us during the process of making Lost Boys.
Joel's great talent is gathering people that are very talented and having them do their thing. And he also just has, like Kiefer was telling him when he was younger, to have faith. He sort of has faith in the people around him, and he doesn't panic. Again, it's hard all these years later when you think about Lost Boys, but this is a movie that was made before there was any, computer generated images. That makeup hadn't been seen, but none of this had been done before, and the script was being rewritten every day, if not every week. And one of the things he promised me to do, and he said, look, when I finally said I'll do it, I'll say, look, I'm not wearing any makeup and I'm not flying. And he said, you will never wear makeup and you will never fly. Smash cut to 2 months later. And it was a big thing, because, I was 19, so this guy lied to me, and he said, I didn't tell you the truth, but we have no ending. So, then we came up with, Kiefer and I being a Godzilla and Mothra flying around, and that's how it goes. But, so he had this even keel about him, but he also was very excited in the process. And when you're young, that goes into you get excited by it.
What was kind of what was your process, each of you, for developing your characters?
I tried to. I don't play into the supernatural element of it. If you do that, the audience is out too, because what you want to do is make every sort of other connection and logical thing before you go, whoa, there's vampires. And my dad was in a movie called The Exorcist, and it's a great performance, but the best part of that performance is he's playing a priest who's also a psychiatrist, and he doesn't walk into the house and all of a sudden go, you look for every other reason than the supernatural. Because then when you finally do break, and when you finally do see what it all is, the audience is with you, and they feel that. And like, so for me, I just use it as a sort of, all that wine and that blood, no, it's just a drug analogy. This guy's coming out of nowhere, he's an outsider, there's sexy chicks, there's guys that seem cool, and it's drugs, you know, and then drugs are changing his body, changing who he is, and all the other things. And so I just try to play that on that level, because these guys can be all cool and scary and sexy, but you know, I have to be a guy with a little brother running around. So if there's not that hardline-based reality that then switches, I think it makes it hard for me.
For me, it was more simple. I was playing a vampire, and I don't believe that they exist. So I had a lot of freedom, and I could just have fun. And yeah, there's a lot of freedom in kind of playing a character like that. And Joel was very inspired. I think Joel, and for those of you that don't know, Joel's path to kind of where he got to was quite extraordinary. He was a window dresser at Bloomingdale's, and Woody Allen was walking down the street and loved the window that he was dressing at night, and asked him to be his costume designer. And when he was Woody Allen's costume designer, he wrote a movie called Car Wash, and that got made, and then he became a writer and then ultimately a director. Joel's whole emphasis on kind of the look was just, how do I make this cool? How do I make this look cool? And I think he did an extraordinary job with that. And I thought Billy Idol was really cool at the time, and kind of tried to look like that. So it was, again, the stuff was pretty simple. Yeah, and just have fun with it. And every time I came on screen, he hit me. I think he was trying to make me laugh, which he did. I was really proud of it. It was so funny, and it's hard to explain through the eyes of now an 18-year-old.
It's left an imprint on so many people. But the thing is, most people saw it on VHS. It was a hit, but it was a moderate hit. But it became massive in home video and all that stuff. And it's a shame because it's so beautifully filmed. They should sort of re-release it on the big screen because it's beautifully shot.
All right, let's go ahead and open up some audience questions. Raise your hand up nice and high so we can call you, and we'll get you here first.
Thank you.
Kiefer, so I wanted to talk to you about the Young Guns. So it was just like a well-shot movie, you know, with the scenery and the like stupendous, these star-studded cast. I just kind of want to like see, you know, what you thought about that whole ordeal, you know, like any kind of stories you could share with me.
It was, I could share stories all day long. You know, it was one of the most arguably fun experiences that I've ever had. I believe very strongly that Young Guns 2 is maybe a more well-crafted film than Young Guns 1. We didn't have as much fun on Young Guns 2, so that tells you something. We had to work a little harder. There was a set of circumstances that were pretty extraordinary. We were shooting in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in winter. So it didn't get light till 9, and it got dark at 4. So we had pretty short days. We were all 19 or 20. They gave us horses and guns and said, go have fun. And we did exactly that. And it was a great, I mean, every one of, you know, Casey Shalasco, Rooney, everybody, Lou and I, Emilio, we've been friends for, you know, 35 years. My first daughter was born in the middle of that movie. There were so many things about it that I hold dear, the memories and everything. It was just such an exciting thing to be a part of a Western at a time when Westerns weren't being made at all. And to that end, John Bon Jovi was in that movie. I shot him off a roof. Tom Cruise was in that movie, and Emilio shot him dead in the street. They all put on beards and wigs and makeup so that you wouldn't recognize them. But people thought it was going to be the last Western ever made, and so people were kind of coming out of the woodwork to be a part of it as well. So it was a good time.
Another question, yeah, right here.
So every actor has movies that people know well and that they always get asked about, like in situations like this. But do either one of you have a movie that you've done that doesn't get talked about as much or asked about as much that you wish people would talk about or ask about? Something underappreciated.
Not my career.
I was in that Kardashian sex tape, but I got cut out.
In seriousness, to answer your question, I did a film called Dark City. And New Line, it was a New Line production which was owned by Warner Brothers, and I don't mean this begrudgingly at all. Keanu's a dear friend, but The Matrix was a Warner Brothers film, and the storylines were very different, but they looked very similar. And so Warner Brothers kind of just pushed Dark City aside, and then slowly kind of being recognized. But I think Alex Proyas, who wrote that as a cartoon when he was 15 years old, is an incredible filmmaker, and I think he made it a masterpiece in all fairness. And so I hope over time that film finds a life. And I would really like to see the edited footage from the Kardashian sex tape. My 2 cents.
A project based on a book or something written. Do you read that before you try to develop your character? Does it help or hinder? Like Stand By Me.
I wasn't in that one. So I got cut out of that clearly. So I'll keep from it.
So Stand By Me, Stephen King wrote a short story called The Body. When I got the screenplay, I was actually working on another film, and I wasn't aware that Stephen King had written that short story. So I read it after the fact. I think Ray Gideon and Bruce Evans, who wrote that screenplay, did such a beautiful job interpreting the story that, aside from reading a beautiful Stephen King story, it didn't have a huge impact on the way I played the character. But definitely, if you are doing a screenplay of a book, it is incredibly beneficial to have read that text, because obviously it's going to be far more nuanced, being generally 450 to 550 pages long versus 120 pages script. So yeah, it's incredibly helpful to do that.
Yeah, you just want as much information as you can get when you're preparing. I'm trying to think. Rush was a book. I mean, when we did it, it hadn't come out yet. So I read the early pages that they gave us. Then we've called After Dark, My Sweet, which is a book. Sleepers was a book. So I think those are the only ones. But yeah, you want to, excuse me? Was it a book? I didn't read that book.
I did.
They cut them out. Yeah, no, it's immeasurably helpful for the emotional and details. It's the details. It's details. It's what sticks out. It's why you're watching this movie now, because there's iconic things in it that you just remember. Whether it's just the light hitting Kiefer's face. I mean, you've seen that picture because I see everyone signing it. That's as famous as Bela Lugosi. I mean, it really is. So there's these iconic moments and details, and that's what you remember in movies. Your favorite scenes that you can instantly know, or lines and all that. And that's why this movie has been very successful. It has a lot of iconography, not just in the horror landscape, but at this point, and I've said this before, because everyone comes up to the table and says how it's their comfort movie, and they watch it 100 times. It's really become sort of the Wizard of Oz of horror movies, something you can watch over and over and over again, and you identify some part of it with yourself. So, and we're very lucky to have really interesting people to put that together, and then have great friendships.
And actually, we're extraordinarily lucky to have audiences like you all to keep it alive. So thank you from the
just got done with Kiefer Sutherland and Jason Patrick. No Tom Capella. That's the saxophone player. Come up with that on my own. I didn't look it up. I don't care what y'all say. Anyway, it was very short. It was only 30 minutes long. I never seen one quite that short before. Took half of it as normal, just the regular questions from the host, and then maybe 4 or 5 questions from the guests. But it was packed. Standing room only, on the walls, and not an empty seat. Yeah. But that's the reason we come. Now we're going to do a little more. Later, bud. Later, folks. Hang on. Go.
It's Mad Monster, baby. Biggest horror fans in the world, North Carolina. You know it.
Check out the mohawk. That's impressive. That's a lot of hairspray. Video.
Oh, it's video.
Well, that was day 3. My first time attending a day 3 of any con. Yep, as expected, a lot less crowded. But it was still crowded right after the Lost Boys panel. It was packed. All them people flooded out into the venue room. Then it got extremely crowded. Sat down for a little while, got back up. Much better track one. I'll post a quick video ahead of this showing you how less crowded it was. Alrighty. Take care. And until the next adventure, Hans up. Hans up. Like, share, and subscribe. It would really help the channel. Don't cost you anything if you subscribe. Just follow us. You get to see when our videos get posted, and it'll be in your algorithm. Don't cost nothing. Help us out. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you again.